week of May 3rd through 7th downtown. So these are just all efforts to support our local businesses. I also didn't know how many board members were able to attend the Ddi Forum Summit last week, which was for 4 hours. I know the manager participated in a panel, but I will forward the information about it, especially the keynote speaker, Bruce Katz, was especially his compelling message at the end about ARA funding, which he said is really going to be unprecedented. And his message to all of us was that as communities that we need to deploy our resources efficiently, effectively, and equitably, and that we as a community should be deciding our priorities and working collaboratively, because we will probably never see this type of federal influx of funds. And I raised that because, and you also talked about setting up actually even command centers within our community, bringing together everyone who is receiving the funds. And so I raised that because, again, I will share the information, and because in our March 22nd minutes was mention of the directive that we discussed the ARA funding at our April 5th work session. I came up today again about our May work session, and I do hope that we will at least spend 15 minutes at our upcoming May work session to at least have a high level board discussion about this important source of funding for our community. And I will share that information out with all of you who were not at the summit.
Commissioner Howard.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobs. Just a second. I had a difficult internet difficulty, but they sent me the link to listen to it afterward. I wasn't able to get on because of technical difficulty, but I did receive the link to listen to the whole thing. So, but thanks for sharing that. Commissioner Burns.
I was going to say I was there for the whole thing, and I was just happy to see that the keynote speaker echoed the sentiments that I gave at the retreat. The document that I shared with everybody 2 weeks ago about how the ARPA funding was coming down. And I've encouraged everybody, both on this board, the city council, and the school board, to look at that, especially when they're sending recommendations over to us, and be very mindful. And if they need help looking over that documentation, by all means, they need to reach out to us. I'm happy that many school board members have. And I would also end with this. I was at the County Commissioners Association meeting on last week, where they did an in-depth look into the ARP funding. As I currently sit on the board now, as you know, and I'm more than happy to share that documentation about what everyone's getting, because I think people are just thinking about the counties. The city's getting a tranche, the schools board's getting a tranche, and the county's getting a tranche. And so we have to make sure that the community knows that there's more than one resource instead of the county commissioners. I just want to make sure that none of my county commissioners are bullied into coming days and weeks. So thought I'd throw that out there.
Thank you, commissioners. Any other announcements? Okay, not, we will move on to our minutes. We have the minutes before you, March 8th and March 22nd of our regular session minutes for approval. Are there any edits or comments on those two? If not, then I will ask for a motion for approval.
Move for approval.
Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Alum. Roll call for my clerk, please.
Commissioner Alum. Aye. It was seconded by Commissioner Carter. But
Carter, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Burns.
Aye.
Commissioner Carter.
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs.
Aye.
And Chair Howerton.
Aye. Minutes are approved. Next, we have some ceremonial items, commissioners, and the first one is 210192 is a resolution recognize the need to make Durham friendlier for birds, people, and the environment by adopting the plan for a bird-friendly Durham and best practices for a bird-friendly Durham. The board is requested to receive the resolution recognizing the need to make Durham friendlier for birds, people, and the environment by adapting a plan for a bird-friendly Durham and best practices for a bird-friendly Durham. The resolution's purpose is to receive the commissioner's support for the goal in the new Hope Audubon Society's plan for a bird-friendly Durham and encourage us of best practices. So it was submitted by the city and county planning department, Ms. Richardson is not here tonight. I'm going to ask the board members to read this. It's going to be a little bit different tonight, and especially for the public. So if we can start with Commissioner Lum, she's going to start to read the resolution, and all the commissioners will participate, and it'll end, and Commissioner Burns will end it. So we can start with Commissioner Alum, and then we have a couple of speakers after that.
Thank you, Chair Hallerton. Durham Board of County Commissioners Resolution, recognition of the need to make Durham friendlier for birds, people, and the environment by adopting the plan for a bird-friendly Durham and best practices for a bird-friendly Durham. Whereas, according to a study conducted by leading ornithologists published in the September 2019 issue of Science, nearly 1/3 of the wild birds in the United States and Canada have vanished since 1970, 2.9 billion. And whereas this study and numerous other studies on plants and animals present overwhelming evidence for the decline in the world's biodiversity. Biodiversity defined as the variety of life on Earth in all its forms and all its interactions. And whereas loss of biodiversity is recognized as being as devastating as the climate crisis to life on Earth. As stated by the United Nations Environment Program World Conservation Monitoring Center, climate change and biodiversity loss are twin crises that should be tackled together. Conserving, managing, and restoring ecosystems are key to success. And
whereas the United Nations Global Assessment Report on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services states that nature is declining globally at rates unprecedented in human history, and the rate of species extinctions is accelerating. With grave impacts on people around the world now likely, we are eroding the very foundations of our economies, livelihoods, food security, health, and quality of life worldwide. It is not too late to make a difference, but only if we start now at every level, from local to global. And whereas the New Hope Audubon Society, a chapter of the National Audubon Society, and its Durham partners have created a blueprint for a bird-friendly Durham that addresses loss of biodiversity in our community, promotes best practices for environmental stewardship, and makes our community a richer, more biologically diverse, healthier place to live for all inhabitants, human, bird, and otherwise. And
whereas North Carolina cities, including our neighbors in Raleigh, Cary, Greensboro, Wilmington, and cities across the country, including Richmond, San Francisco, Austin, Milwaukee, Norfolk, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, and Washington, D.C., are taking steps to conserve and celebrate nature in all its forms and make residents aware of the many important ways they benefit from preserving and enhancing biodiversity. And whereas a growing body of epidemiological research indicates strong positive correlations between spending time in nature and overall human health and well-being, including lower mental and emotional stress, less depression, better weight control, less impulsive decision-making, better mental focus, less exposure to health-altering air pollution, noise, and excessive heat, and higher immune system function. And
whereas studies show that people who are historically disadvantaged due to health, disability, income, minority status, and systemic racism reap the benefits mentioned above more than other groups, from nature-based solutions to climate change adaptation in urban areas, pages 187 to 205, effects of urban green space on environmental health, equity, and resilience. And whereas New Hope Audubon's plan for a friendly Durham provides a path forward for the county to ensure that the community is bird, eco, and people friendly. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Durham County Commissioners, do hereby support the goals and a New Hope Audubon Society's plan for a bird-friendly Durham and encourage use of the best practices for a bird-friendly Durham. Document that the New Hope Audubon has submitted to the Durham City County Planning Department as its guide. This, the 26th day of April, 2021.
Thank you, Commissioners. So at this time we have, I saw, is it Vivian or Joy? I don't have a last name on here.
I apologize, Chair Howerton. It is actually Barbara Driscoll. She's on the call. She's replacing Lynn Richardson, who could not be in attendance.
Okay. Yeah, hi, Barbara.
Hi,
Welcome.
thank you. I'm president of New Hope. I'm Barbara Driscoll. I'm president of New Hope Audubon Society and co-chair of our Bird Friendly Durham Committee. The committee will be spending the next several years on projects that benefit Durham's environment and the birds, other wildlife, and people that live in it. We are fortunate to live in a county that is already doing a lot to address environmental issues. The recently updated Durham Landscape Manual, for example, includes a number of the practices found in our committee's best practices document, including a robust list of prohibited plants. Adding many more plants to Durham's prohibited list was a huge positive step because these prohibited invasive plants are second only to habitat loss and causing the alarming decrease in the diversity of life on Earth. Although the resolution mentions our partnership with the planning department, this work goes far beyond them. We realize that many of these objectives reach beyond their responsibilities, and therefore we are partnering with a number of others in the city and county government, local businesses, nonprofit schools, and private individuals. Audubon hopes the work we're doing will inspire the county to do even more in the coming years to improve our natural environment. Support of this resolution at the county level means so much as our committee goes forward, and it will mean a lot for everyone in Durham who is working toward environmental health and environmental justice. It tells us that you're behind us. Your support also has the potential to impact other communities in New Hope Audubon territory, which covers Durham, Orange, and Chatham counties and beyond, as this is a pilot project that we hope will be used as a model for other North Carolina cities and towns. Thank you so much, Chair Howerton and Commission members, for your wonderful reading of our resolution and also for your support for our resolution and this effort.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for bringing this to us. And commissioners, you have comments that you'd like to make? Commissioner Jacobs?
Well, thank you, Barbara. And I just wanted to thank you and Lynn and all of the members of New Hope Audubon. We received a lot of emails in support of this from the community, and I apologize for not responding individually to all of them, but I really appreciate the grassroots enthusiasm for this, because this is an issue where it literally is something that everybody can participate in your own, if you have a yard, or even if you just have a balcony, if you live in an apartment, where people can do little things to really help support the bird population in our community. And it does really take all of us. So I appreciate you educating everyone in our community about how we can all help and be a part of this effort. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? So I too, Barbara, thank you. And I did respond to some of the emails. I didn't get to all of them, but I do appreciate all the commitment in bringing this forward, because that took a lot of work, a lot of involvement. So thank you again. Right, we will move on to the next item, commissioners. And the next item is a proclamation 210277, National Volunteer Week. The board is requested to proclaim April 18th through the 24th of 2021 as National Volunteer Week, and recognize the more than 300 volunteers who serve on the county's 40 plus boards and commissions. And I'm going to read this one. The proclamation, Durham County Board of Commissioners proclamation. The National Volunteer Week 2021, whereas thousands of Durham County citizens utilize their time and talent to make a real difference in the lives of their fellow citizens, and whereas individuals and communities are at the center of social change, discovering their power to make a difference, and whereas the entire community can inspire, equip, and mobilize its citizens to take action that can change the world, and whereas the giving of oneself in service to others empowers the giver and the recipient alike, and whereas experience teaches us that government by itself cannot solve all of our social problems, and our county cannot function without volunteers who serve on our boards, commissions, task forces, and committees. And whereas citizen participation is essential for good government because volunteers help shape the policies that keep our county moving forward in the right direction, and their impact can be felt throughout the community. And whereas the health and well-being of Durham County is embraced by neighbors, helping neighbors, and whereas Durham County's volunteers force is great treasure, and whereas volunteers are vital to our future as a caring and productive community, and whereas Durham County recognizes the value of its volunteers and proudly joins other North Carolina counties and our nation in celebrating National Volunteer Week in honor of more than 63 million volunteers nationwide and over 300 volunteers who serve on the county's 40 plus boards and commissions. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Brenda Howerton, Chair of the Board of County Commissioners, and on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 18th through the 24th, 2021 as National Volunteer Week in Durham County, and urge our fellow citizens to volunteer in their respective neighborhoods. Durham County takes great pleasure in honoring the volunteers of our community and conveying our sincere gratitude and appreciation for their commitment, selflessness, and compassionate efforts to make a difference. This is the 26th day of April 2021. Brenda Howerton, Chair, Durham County Commissioner. Comments from commissioners.
Chair Howerton?
I'm sorry, I was reading my directions here. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I just want to express gratitude to everyone who steps up to volunteer and serve on one of our boards, as well as the people who apply and may not get appointed to the board the first time around. I want to show I know our entire board is grateful for you stepping up. We have a very difficult time often choosing from so many great candidates for our boards. And I just want to extend to everyone that continue. There's so many boards that always have vacancies or people are rolling off, to continue applying and be participatory in our governments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Long. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Burns?
I just want to say really quick, we've all heard this quote. Sometimes they give it to Janetta B. Cole, but a lot of people have said it. They've said that service is the rent that we pay to be on this earth. And I think for a lot of us during COVID, we were constrained and could not give in the way that we wanted to because we couldn't be out, we couldn't touch people. And I think I remember looking it up before the meeting. They've quantified, back in the day, it was $17 an hour, but a volunteer hour in 2020 was worth $25 an hour. I guess, some inflation because you might have gotten actually sick. So I just want to echo Commissioner Alam's sentiments that, a special hats off to anybody who went out and volunteered. The work that we do, whether it's with vaccinations or anything, I think everything the city, the county, the state has done this year, if it were not for volunteers, I don't know if we would have made it, because it was all hands on deck for 2020 and somewhat in 2021. So I echo those thank yous.
Thank you. Thank you. Other comments from commissioners? Yes, I know that our clerk has something to say in just a second. So if there are no other comments from the commissioners, yeah, I particularly wanted to read that one because it speaks loudly. Sometimes some things just speak to you. They just jump off the paper. You need to say something in appreciation for the service that people provide for this county. When they give of themselves, they give of their family, they give of whatever relationships they're having, they're giving of their time. So that's sometimes it's more than money. So I want to thank especially thank the clerk for all of her participation in the numbers of citizens that she works with. And she has a dedication to this board that we haven't seen in a long time because she works really hard. So to have some time to, you have what, more than one board? How many boards do you work with, Monica?
So there are more than, we have about 44 boards and
44 now, but yeah.
Yes, ma'am. And I just want to give a huge shout out and kudos to my team. Tanya De Los Santos, she is the guru for boards and commissions, the go-to person anytime anybody has a question about their application, the process. She is our go-to person, along with Maceo Carlton, who's the deputy clerk. He steps in and helps her out as well. This year is a bit different, as well as last year was. Due to COVID, we cannot have our normal recognition and reception, which we normally hold every fourth Monday in April. However, this year, the proclamation will be shared with the boards and commissions. And I've also spoken with our public information staff, and we will work to highlight a different board and commission every month, maybe 2 or 3 a month if we can, but just to highlight them and showcase them and let them know that we do appreciate them, and also so that the public will be more aware of what that particular board does and how they are able to serve in our community. So I do want to thank you guys for recognizing those dates, and thank my staff as well. And also just to highlight our website, it is dconc.gov, and it's boards and commissions. You can apply, you can read about it, every meeting date, every location, contact information, it's all there.
Wonderful. Thank you, Monica.
You're welcome.
Okay, but no other comments, we'll move on to our consent agenda. Commissioners, we have 4 consent items on the agenda. If there are things that commissioners would like to pull for additional discussion, we can place them at the end of the agenda. Mr. Manager, if you will go through our consent agenda. Is there a question, Commissioner Jacobs? Okay.
No, I just had a quick comment, but I will.
Okay, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Our first item is item 239, which is a resolution to designate review officers for the town of Morrisville. Are there any questions or concerns there? The next item is our March property tax release and refund report, item 244. Item 254 is the execution of our public art agreement with Parasolil LLC for the design and structural public art screen wall at 318 East Main Street parking deck. I think there's a question, Madam Chair.
I just had a quick comment. I just wanted to express my gratitude to Perry and Linda Seguro and everyone who is involved with the public art process and the partnership with the city. And I'm very excited to see that moving forward. And I know the community will be involved and excited as well. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
And last but not least, item 257 is a request by the Department of Transportation for the Durham County Board of Commissioners to adopt a resolution for the addition of 0.21 miles of Sunstone Drive to the state maintained secondary road system. Madam Chairman, that concludes the consent agenda for this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Manager. If it has been moved, if there are no comments, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved, Madam Chair. Oh.
Seconded.
Okay, so it was moved by Commissioner Burns, second by Commissioner Long. Okay, and we'll ask the clerk to take a roll vote, verbal vote.
Commissioner Alam,
Aye.
Commissioner Burns,
Aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs,
Aye.
and Chair Howerton.
Aye. Has been consent agenda is approved. Our next items is our Durham Public Health Director focused update on COVID-19. The board is requested for an update from our hardest working man in town. It's our health director, Mr. Jenkins, address us tonight on the vaccine efforts.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, other members of the Board of County Commissioners, Manager Davis, Attorney Darby, and General Managers. It is indeed a privilege for me to come to you with some good news about our vaccination efforts. If you give me a minute, I'll try to share my screen.
Great.
All right. So as I always do, I always want to make sure that you know exactly where we stand in terms of COVID-19 prevention strategies. And we're going to keep preaching the same song, which is keep doubling down, keep pushing on your public health measures. It's doing us well. And we continue to be inside this race, ladies and gentlemen. And it's a race between vaccinations and variants. And you know, I think it's not robbery that everyone under the sound of my voice just really understand where we are. When you look at a country like India that is, you know, filled with beautiful, intelligent people, one of the #1 vaccine makers in the world, and they have succumbed to another widespread moment with COVID surges. We thought it was impossible for us to get 350,000 new cases, but that's what they did on yesterday. So it's a harsh reminder that this is not over. We are still here. It's still a deadly pandemic, respiratory pathogen, and we need to make sure that we do everything we can to protect ourselves and others. So again, we just encourage everyone to get vaccinated as quickly and as expeditiously as possible. That is not a typo, ladies and gentlemen. We currently have 131 active cases. And that is definitely some good news. That means that we're on a downswing, and we hope that we remain there. 24,584 inactive cases. That many people have beat COVID. Fortunately, we did have a couple more deaths since the last time I addressed you all, where it's currently sitting at 223. Thoughts, prayers, and meditations are always with those families who've lost loved ones to COVID-19. Total since the pandemic began, 24,943. Our 7-day moving average of positive cases is just 37 as of Friday. This is a decrease from 51 last week and right at about 48 2 weeks ago. So again, we want to make sure that we keep it going on the downswing. So far, as of April 26th, there's been 1,161 cases for the month of April. We keep a close eye on race and ethnicity, and at present, our Hispanic or Latinx represent 14.18% of all of our cases. We continue to be somewhat concerned about the Black or African American community and their overrepresentation, right at 56.63%. This has also been communicated by state epidemiologist, Dr. Zach Moore, who indicated that on the state level, they're beginning to keep a watchful eye on the Black or African American community and their COVID overrepresentation on the state level. Our white individuals in Durham County continue to be underrepresented at 24.10% of all of our cases. So again, we definitely want our African American community to know that we certainly care about them. We want to do everything that we can to arm them and to remind them that the public health measures still work, and we want you all to do all that you can, keep yourselves and others safe. Our positive percentage of labs continues to be below 5%. Slight uptick at 4.4% last week. 2 weeks ago was 4.2%. So again, they've remained relatively low. Duke's model does still have us less than 2%, with Durham's infections growing at 1.5%, North Carolina's infections overall growing at 1.3%. Vaccinations are going extremely well in the Tar Heel state. And as far as Durham is concerned, the Bull City is no stranger to success. 111,951 individuals have been fully vaccinated. That equates to right at about more than a third of our population. Individuals greater than the age of 18 and older represent 11,378. So that population is at 43.5% vaccinated. We continue to be proud of our seniors who are at 73.2%. We do know that per the CDC, the community level of transmission still remains pretty high. So we want to make sure that people continue to protect themselves. A little snapshot of how we look and how we stack up in the state of North Carolina. Overall, we have 127,888 individuals who have received at least one dose. Fully vaccinated, this was as earlier today, 104,700. That equates to 39.8% receiving at least one dose and 32.6% and quickly moving have received full vaccination. So again, we're currently vaccinating anyone 16 years of age and older. We do have Pfizer, we do have Moderna, and we do have Johnson & Johnson. Pretty sure you all have heard that the CDC and FDA have recommended that the pause be lifted. The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services have also recommended that the pause be lifted. We are carefully monitoring our situation in Durham, but I fully expect for us to be offering Johnson & Johnson later on this week. We continue to see rapid increases in our vaccination attempts from month over month, and I'm proud to say that Durham County Department of Public Health has administered 32,423 shots since December 21st, 2020. And Durham residents are able to go a little bit everywhere. specifically 479 vaccination provider sites across North Carolina. Again, we see with a close eye on racial equity, we do see that the Black or African American community continues to increase at 32,000 total, approximately 32,000 total vaccinations, white 71,000. But I'm most proud of the fact that our Hispanic or Latinx population continues to increase. And I'm truly seeing a lot more activity at 414 East Main Street. Of Durham County's residents, roughly about 49% have been partially, 44% fully. That's the white population. Black African American, 26% partial, 22% full. Asian population, 47% of residents been partially vaccinated, 41% fully. And with our Latinx population, approximately 16% have been fully vaccinated, and right at about 23% have received a partial vaccination. Again, we want to remind our commissioners that our Latinx population represent right at about 14% of Durham's overall population. As aforementioned, we are seeing a lot more Latinx families come in for vaccinations, and that's definitely a good thing. There's a lot more diversity since we've gone to anyone being able to get vaccinated, but we've not took our eyes off of the ball, which is vaccine equity. So again, we did think it not robbery to open up to walk-ins. So last Thursday is when we first started, and we opened up walk-ins appointments for Thursday and Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And it was a resounding success. Individuals came in, they felt as if the scheduling and appointment apparatus that we set up was a little bit of a hindrance, but they were delighted to know that they could just walk in, do their paperwork, and get vaccinated. As mentioned, we are seeing a lot more Latinx residents coming, and that does my heart good, because when we first started vaccinations, there was all kinds of rumors and innuendos in the community about the fact that we had the National Guard there. They equated that with ICE, and they were afraid that we were going to ask for identification and all kinds of different things. But nevertheless, they're coming in large groups, they're coming with their families, and they're getting vaccinated, and they're telling others to come and get vaccinated. So again, we look forward to continue to work with our community partners, and the possibility of working with more community health workers to improve vaccine equity in Durham County. That concludes my presentation. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ron. I have two questions that I'd like. Let's start with J&J. That it has been lifted that we're going to be able to use J&J. Are there any things that the public need to know about that?
They just need to know that, again, we regret to inform the general public that there were, it went from 16 to approximately 15 situations with J&J causing blood clots. And for the most part, we know that it's there, but just know that in Durham, we have taken the extra precautions to prepare our residents. We had heard things about people getting nauseous, people being, fainting, dizzy spells. So prior to them taking the vaccine at our mass vaccination clinic, we made sure that we asked whether or not they had something to eat. We asked whether or not they needed something to drink, all of which that we provide in the mass vaccination clinic. Now we're going to make sure that we let them know all the possible side effects. But I will say to you, Madam Chair, and other members of the commissioners, that even during the pause, we still had people saying to us, we want J&J. We understand the side effects and the possibilities. And when it comes back online, please give us a call. So with that being said, we hope to, find out more information. We do have a weekly standing call on COVID-19 and vaccines with the state every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. We look forward to receiving more information. And once we feel comfortable, Madam Chair, that, is going to present no harm to our residents, then we will make a decision under the advisement of our medical director.
Thank you. The other question that I have is, what other languages other than English do you have the information for the vaccine on the website?
We're fortunate to be able to have the website to be able to be translated in multiple languages. That's through the technology of Google. Upon entering the mass vaccination clinic, we do have a language line. We also have individuals who are fluent in English and Spanish, but we have utilized the language line many times. And we also have the technology of being able to use iPads to connect with individuals who are fluent in a number of different languages in order to ensure that our residents have all the pertinent information they need to decide whether or not they want to get vaccinated.
So anyone that says that the site is only in English,
I would have to debate that, because if they were to come to the second floor and say, indicate that they speak another language, we would do everything that we could to ensure that we find what language it is and that we translate it accordingly.
well, thank you. I just, in getting around in the community, I heard a couple of people just mentioning that it was only in English. And I think for the general public, it's good for you to be able to say that to the public, to know that.
Absolutely. And one thing I will, I believe in being honest and transparent. Our Latinx population, early on in our vaccination efforts, they were very, very adamant about ensuring that not only did we have people who spoke Spanish or the ability to interpret, but we had Spanish documents. Yeah. So I know my staff are tired of hearing me say, where is the Spanish document, where it is. And every time I go up front, I was like, where is it? They show it to me. I was like, thank you very much.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Questions from other commissioners? Commissioner Alum?
Thank you, Chair Houghton. Thank you so much, Director Jenkins, to you and your team for all your amazing work. I wanted to, reiterate first to the Muslim community a reminder that I gave last meeting. Please get vaccinated even while fasting. It is safe and permissible, so don't miss your chance to get vaccinated. And second, for Director Jenkins, can you just, for the public, just reiterate why it's so important for people who get the first dose of either Pfizer or Moderna to come in for the second dose?
Oh,
and how the first dose.
Thank you for bringing up that topic. We have had a number of individuals to say, hey, I got my first dose, I think I should be good or whatever. The fact of the matter is, it's a 2-dose series for a reason. In other words, if you get your first dose, you're only partially vaccinated. Although there are, there's all kind of reports of saying that Moderna is, one dose is 90-something% effective, whatever have you. But again, you want to be fully vaccinated. So if time has elapsed between your first and your second dose, please come back and see us. We can take care of that. But we want you to be fully vaccinated. We want you to receive both series. And we have been doing all that we can to take care of individuals. We had our ambitious Durhamites who went to all kinds of other states and all kinds of other locations to get their first vaccinations. And now they don't want to travel. So we are doing everything that we can to get their second doses for them. And that's our charge, to make sure we take care of our residents. But thank you for bringing that up. We have been strongly encouraging our residents to make sure that they get both doses.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Carter?
Thank you, Chair Howerton. And Mr. Jenkins, as always, thanks for your really incredibly strong leadership and efforts to be sure that we continue to promote vaccine uptake and vaccine equity here in Durham. The equity numbers are troubling. I know that, I remember you said we're doing better than the state, and I'm really pleased to hear that. But still, 44% of white residents have been vaccinated and only 22% of Black and 16% of Latinx. You mentioned something about community health workers, maybe being able to help with those numbers. I don't know anything about that, and I don't know whether maybe there is not enough information to share yet, but if there is anything you could share with us, I'm very intrigued by that and really believe in community health workers. Just wondering, you know, what information there might be available at this point.
More than happy to share, Commissioner Carter. And I don't know whether or not congratulations are in order for you and your family, but I just want to say early congratulations to you. I do know that you had a grandbaby on the way, so I hope everything turned out well. I will say that vaccine equity is definitely top of mind. I know that it is important for this board, and it's also equally important to the mayor and city council. There's been a number of different meetings, surveys being done to determine whether or not additional community health workers are necessary. So with that being said, as your public health director, I'm in favor of doing all that I can to ensure that, you know, Durham residents gets the best and we get all that we can. I do know the value of community health workers because I have several who work at the health department. There's something about trusted community residents who know the community, have a lot of credibility within the communities that they come from, and can really dispel rumors and get people to vaccination sites. I totally agree. I'm not necessarily pleased with the numbers, but I'm always going to promote you know, a good effort when I know that we're working hard to increase the numbers. I would also say, and be remiss in saying that, you know, again, big shout out to the staff. One of the things that we're moving toward now, Commissioner Carter, is really getting out of the building and getting into the community. Gone are the days where the demand is so high and people want to come and beat down the doors to get vaccinated. We now have to take the vaccine to the street. And we're continuing to work with our partners, local pharmacies, you know, Mr. Williams, War for Life, you know, K for Pediatrics. We're doing all that we can to make sure, Chapel Hill Pediatrics, I apologize. We're doing all that we can to get vaccine out, but, you know, took a little step back because of Johnson & Johnson, a little bit of hesitancy, a little bit of bad press, but I am most confident that we're going to strike back. We're going to go back hard, and we're going to be vaccinating robust.
Okay, Commissioner Burns.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you know, for some, you know, the audio always wants to play with me when I get to Director Jenkins. So for me, I wanted to say thank you to Director Jenkins. I also wanted to say thanks to one of our GMs, Joanne. There have been a number of nonprofits that have asked for additional assistance and support. And each time I've sent you all to someone, you all have not said no. And I just want to say thank you unequivocally. Like, I want to get all of that out. You all, Director Jenkins and Joanne know, I have been in close contact with the Department of Health and Human Services. We have been in this pandemic for over a year, and there are a lot of people who got prime contracts with the Department of Health and Human Services, who then gave out subcontracts to a lot of minority firms who were doing the community health worker work, the actual work. And now we're a year into this, and we are seeing these prime contractors not pay these Black community health workers. And now that we see this tranche of money coming into counties, they think that they're going to come and get money from us, and that they're going to utilize our funds and they're going to abuse our community health workers. I just want to say here publicly, I'm happy that Joanne and Rod know who they are. I know who they are. And as long as there's breath in my body, I will keep you from getting any of Durham County's money. I also want to throw out there, as far as as much as we talk about some of these numbers, I'm not even going to go back and forth about some of the numbers that we saw in some of these proposals, especially for equity money. There are people applying for equity funding and have never done equity work in their lives. And the one thing I can say, I'm thankful that the Racial Equity Task Force did shut some of that down. I know I don't always say I haven't been known to say positive things about some of the work that has been done, not by Racial, but by the Recovery and Renewal Task Force. It's only because critique is important. Our critique helps to cultivate a better program. So if folks are out there thinking that they're going to grant hog and get equity funding, that is not going to happen on this board's watch. I promise. Something else that Commissioner Carter, brought up, which I thought was really important. I want people, and this is where I'm speaking from my Black woman lens. There are going to be Black people that will not get this vaccine. I struggle with that because I got mine, I videotaped mine, I put it on the internet, I begged all my family members to do the same thing. But there are people who do not get the flu shot every year. There are people who don't believe in vaccinations at all. So we're going to have a population of people who don't get those. I know that's disappointing to some people. It is disappointing to me. So we, at this point, like Rod said, Dr. Rick Jenkins said, the beating on the door down now, if they haven't done it by now, if they haven't made that appointment by now, as we're moving buses out to go pick them up, as we have 60 sites, if we had these mega sites, you're going to actually see that there are some people who are absolutely not going to get it. And I know it hurts, but I don't want that criticism to be lodged at Director Jenkins or Joanne, because that is just what we're dealing with. We are dealing with a population of people who have not been able to trust public health. There is a reason why we did a resolution last week about Black female maternal health. There's a reason why Natalie Murdoch has a bill in, an omnibus bill. There is a reason why President Biden and Vice President Harris put specific funding in for ARP. Now, did I call Natalie Murdoch? Did I call Kamala Harris? Did Brenda Howard? None of us did. We knew it was an issue because we acutely know that there are some people who do not, will not, and will never trust medicine. And so I want you to know, to Director Jenkins and to Joanne and everyone in your staff, I know that some of these numbers might be foreign to some people. Recognize, to those of us who are in the community, who are out there every day, these numbers are not foreign to us. And I know, and not saying that that's what Commissioner Carter was saying. She was not saying that. So let me be that clear before somebody comes back and say that Commissioner Burns was beating up on Commissioner Carter. That wasn't it. But I've heard that bubble up more than once. And I want people to realize, I want everybody to get vaccinated. I promise you I do. I have people in my family who are deathly ill. I've lost 10 members to COVID, 10 family members to COVID. I do not know if that is the experience of of my colleagues. And it breaks my heart because some of it could have been prevented. But that is our reality as a Black people who have been mutilated, abused, and tested on for over 400 years. So I did want to throw that, but thank you so much for everything you do, Rod.
Thank you. So Ms. Pierce, was that something you wanted to, I saw Ms. Pierce pop up. Was there something you wanted to add?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Jacobs?
Thank you. And thank you so much, Rod, for your report. I really appreciate you doing it in PowerPoint so that it's in writing now and people can also see the information. So I know that's extra work for you, but thank you for doing that so much. Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on kind of where we're at. I'm really glad you're doing walk-ins now. And I think we're at this phase, like you said, where we've gotten, we have to look at, and I mean, this is nationwide. It's looking at, now it's harder. We gotta get the people that are harder to get and removing the barriers. So everything that we can do to remove barriers, like doing walk-ins, is fantastic. Are we still doing the clinics that we were before, like at DPS and NCCU and Hoover Road and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, we're still okay. Great.
We're still on Hoover Road. I know they're working to stand up some additional sites. I know that Carson's still going strong. We still have the Optum site at the Staff Development Center with DPS. Awesome partnership.
Great. Great.
So there's been no taking down of sites. It's just, again, as you mentioned,
right.
We're just at that point. And
right.
To Commissioner Burns's point, we will continue to meet people where they are. We recognize the trauma over the years. And but at the same time, you still have to make yourself available. So over the past 2 weeks, the staff, I know they're tired hearing me say, we got to take it to the street. We got to go out in the community. We can't just sit here. So we are making plans to do a lot more community outreach. And, we look forward to being able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was during my I have the honor and privilege of serving on the Board of Visitors for North Carolina Central University. And the discussion there was that they love having the vaccine site there because it's actually bringing people from the community onto the campus who've actually never been on the campus, who live in Durham. So that's been really wonderful. I just following up on what Commissioner Carter said about community health workers or any other resources that you need, Rod, I hope you will come back to us. And of course, knowing that community partners at this point are going to be our most important ally, as you said, trusted community partners. And, you know, this is when we really need to be not taking them for granted and definitely, you know, paying people for their efforts and for their work. So I just hope that you will let us know what we need to do to support that. The other issue that I've heard a lot about listening nationally too is just recognizing still that a lot of frontline workers may not still have the luxury of missing work to come and get a shot, and you know, and you know, just people who recognizing again the barriers that people have. Whether I know we need the J&J for this, but has there been any conversation of, you know, going to job sites and where people are working? Are we at a point where we can think about doing things like that?
We are, and you know, it's a little tricky, Madam Vice Chair, in that the majority of you know, job sites, you know, believe it or not, you know, they've had a fair amount of their employees have already been vaccinated. So what we're doing is like really engaging those job sites to really survey their workers. And if they find that, you know, half or 2/3 have not gotten vaccinated, we're more than happy to assist them in that effort. But what we've done all this time, you know, and I'll be real brief, we have had large employers to reach out to us and just say, hey, you know, can you give me like, you know, 50 to 75 slots? And that's what we've done. And for the most part, they've come in, you know, with very little no-show rates and been able to get vaccinated. And that's really what has garnered us success all this time. So we know that, you know, again, this is I guess you could say the dog days of vaccination. So this is where we roll up our sleeves and really do the hard work.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rod.
And our churches are still hanging in there as well. So they're still having sites at our churches. Rod, thank you so much. As always.
Commissioner
Thank
Howerton,
you.
I just want to throw in.
Okay.
This is very quick because I don't want the public to be somewhat misled by it. You know, we talk about community health workers. The reason why this conversation is bubbling up is because we literally do not have the human capital. We don't have the human capital to hire nurses. We don't have the human capital for mega sites. So when we talk about this, we are going to have to train some people, and I'm going to rely on Rod and Joanne and some of these other folks to tell us who have been doing this work for over 2 years in the community, not these new people. I also wanted to point out Biden is actually doing, and the press release came out, and I'm going to say it wrong, and I do apologize. I went off camera to look it up. They're doing tax credits for anybody who does approved leave for individuals that go and get their COVID shot. Yeah. So I do want to throw that out as we're saying that folks are going to go and do work. As we're asking Rod and them to go out, we cannot stretch them but so thin. And I want people to know, if you do have a small business, if you are a restaurant, and there's an opportunity for you to be able to pay your folks for leave and they be able to go and get their shot. So just wanted to throw that out.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. I did hear that. And one of the other things that I heard was you can't make your employees get the shots. They have to volunteer. So there's a lot of conversation around this conversation. So thank you again, Rod, for all the information that you bring to us and that you bring to the community, and all the work that you and your team does for the community. Thanks again.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to serve.
You're welcome. Commissioners, next we have our boards and commissioner appointments. Mr. Attorney, so Darby, can you read the results for our appointment?
Good evening, commissioners. Yes, I have the results for the Durham County Safety and Wellness Task Force. You could select one. You have selected Andrea Hudson. For the Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee, you have selected Lachelle Welby Jr. That is your report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Attorney, and congratulations to the two individuals that have gotten the appointments tonight. We welcome you. As we were just talking about volunteers, these are how people volunteer to our community. So thank you. Now we are at the end of our
Excuse
agenda,
me, Madam Chair.
Commissioners.
I just had a very quick question.
Yes. Commissioner Jacobs.
Knowing that the Community Safety and Wellness Task Force actually has their first meeting on Wednesday, I just wanted to see if Monica thought it would be possible to make sure that Ms. Hudson, would it be possible for her to be at that meeting? I know there has to be some process with that, but I know the first meeting is coming up very quickly.
I'll double check with Tanya, but if I'm not mistaken, she can attend the meeting. She just can't do any voting or any of that stuff because she has not taken her oath yet. But she can definitely attend the meeting. So she's aware of what is going on, and we'll make sure that she has that information.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. I had a quick question. In order for her to take her oath, I mean, that meeting is on Wednesday night, so that's about 48 hours away. So is there any way that she could take her oath beforehand? I'm just asking because.
Yes, Commissioner Burns, it is. Tanya's actually in the office on Tuesday. So what she can do is reach out to her tomorrow morning. If she can come in before the end of the day, she can definitely go ahead and be sworn in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Commissioner Burns will be serving as our officio of the county on that committee. So the first meeting will be Wednesday night, and the mayor and your chair will be there to bring greetings for the county so that they can get started with their work. So our next item, commissioners, is we have a closed session. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything here. Yeah, the board is requested to go into closed session for the following: to establish or to instruct the public body staff or negotiating agent concerning the position to be taken by or on behalf of the public body in negotiating the price and other material terms of the contract or proposal contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase, option, exchange, or lease, or the amount of compensation and other material terms of an employment contract or proposed employment contract pursuant to GS 143-318-11A5, and also to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged to GS 143-318-11A3. I'd like to thank our residents and others for attending the virtual meeting, callers attending the closed session, or asked to join the call using the information sent to the clerk earlier. So we have a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
It's moved by Commissioner Lum.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Carter. A roll call vote.
Commissioner Alon,
Aye.
Commissioner Burns,
Aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs,
Aye.
and Chair Howerton.
Aye, we are moving into closed session. Thank you.
Good evening, commissioners. All commissioners are on the line. I'm just waiting for Attorney Darby. And Attorney Darby, are you able to hear me?
You'll see me in a second. There.
All righty, there we go.
You are.
We are ready to go.
So we had Monica, we had a couple of things that staff was given directions on one of the items.
Yes, Chair Howerton, and I believe Attorney Darby will read those motions.
Both, all three of them?
There were only two.
Okay, two, okay.
Madam Chair, if I may, the
Sure.
first motion is as follows. I move the staff be directed to enter into a pre-litigation settlement matter between Neighbors Eatery Restaurant and Durham County in reference to termination of a lease agreement for 201 East Main Street in the settlement amount of $19,622.25. That's the motion.
There's been a motion. Can we?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, and need a second?
Seconded.
Second. Commissioner Long got it.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Carter, second by Commissioner Burns. Roll call vote.
It was seconded by Commissioner Alam. I apologize, Chair Howerton.
Okay.
And we have Commissioner Alam,
Aye.
Commissioner Burns, Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs,
Aye.
and Chair Howerton.
Aye. It's been approved 5-0. Okay, and then the second one, Mr. Darby?
Yes, Madam Chair. The second motion is something to the effect of, I move that the board authorize Attorney Darby to finalize a letter of engagement from Attorney Denise Smith Klein for the purpose of reviewing the manager's contract, and that will include separate consultations with each individual commissioner separately, and to engage with the attorney in anything that flows out of that with regards to the contract.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Carter,
Second.
second by Jacobs. Okay, are there any comments from anyone? Okay, I have some comments. If there's no one else. So,
Would your comment be in the matter of unreadiness?
no, my comments about my readiness.
Any comment would be in the form of unreadiness that you can clearly go ahead and say it, but it's the more form of an unreadiness as opposed to a statement. You can answer, you can give your comments.
I can give my comments, okay? And then we call a roll vote after the comments. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So my comments is that, is that we have county attorneys who can easily interpret a contract. So this is a normal function for our competent attorneys to handle contracts of this nature. To use taxpayer dollars to carry out a task that staff can easily do is not a good use of county funds, as far as I'm concerned. The other thing has to do with board evaluations and not board evaluations, it's about staff evaluation. I'll talk about that a little bit later. So this just sounds like a reasonable, equitable, and fair process that to have the county attorneys evaluate this contract. So if you want to call, and I will be voting no. So Monica, if you want to call the vote.
Commissioner Alam,
Aye.
Commissioner Burns,
No.
Commissioner Carter.
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs
Aye.
and Chair Howerton.
And as I said, I am voting no to this, to hire an outside attorney to review the manager's contract, given we have competent attorneys on staff that can interpret a contract.
Agreed.
So, voting no. Okay.
I will announce that the motion does carry 3-2.
Okay. So if there's nothing else, we can move for adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Is that okay? Carter,
Second.
second by Commissioner Jacobs.
Commissioner Alam,
Aye.
Commissioner Burns,
Aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs,
Aye.
and Chair Howerton.
Aye, we are adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.